Hello and welcome back to another Parry This alternate history video. Imagine a world where the tides of history are turned by a single extraordinary event. A British ship of the line from the 1700s, the HMS Victory, commanded by Admiral Edward Hawke, is transported back in time to the year 865 AD. This paper explores a fascinating hypothetical scenario where this ship joins forces with the Anglo-Saxons to confront the Great Heathen Army, a formidable Norse force that invaded England. The mingling of these disparate eras presents a unique opportunity to examine the impact of advanced naval warfare on a pivotal moment in early medieval history. This scenario, while unfortunately fictional, is rooted in historical accuracy regarding the capabilities and characteristics of both the Norse invaders and the British naval power of the 1700s. The analysis considers the technological disparities, strategic implications, and potential historical outcomes of such an anachronistic alliance. Through this exploration, the paper aims to provide a vivid narrative of the hypothetical battle, its immediate aftermath, and the far-reaching consequences of a Saxon-dominated Britain in a world where time's boundaries are crossed in warfare. By delving into this speculative historical encounter, we seek to illuminate not only the dynamics of medieval and naval warfare, but also to engage with this broader question of how singular events can shape the course of history. This journey through an alternate past invites readers to reimagine the threads of time and history, weaving a tapestry of what might have been. Section 1. The Great Heathen Army. The year 865 AD witnessed the arrival of the Great Heathen Army on the shores of England, a moment that marked a turning point in the history of the British Isles. This force, primarily composed of Danish Vikings, embarked on what was to become one of the most significant Norse invasions of Anglo-Saxon England. The period leading up to this invasion saw the Norsemen, initially raiders and explorers, beginning to undertake more ambitious and organized military campaigns. Their arrival was not merely a raid, but a calculated move towards conquest and settlement. The Great Heathen Army, though often shrouded in myth, is believed to have been a sizable and well-organized force. Contemporary records do not provide exact numbers, but estimates suggest several thousand warriors. This army was a coalition of Viking groups from Denmark, Norway, and possibly even Sweden, united under a common goal. The warriors were known for their mobility, both over land and sea, utilizing their iconic longships to facilitate rapid movement and surprise attacks due to England's prominent river system. Norse warriors were equipped for both agility and effectiveness in combat. Common armaments included swords, axes, spears, and shields, with the wealthier warriors donning chainmail armor. Their fighting style was characterized by a combination of ferocity and tactical acumen. The Vikings were adept at hit-and-run tactics, using their mobility to their advantage. They also employed the shield wall formation in open battle, a testament to their discipline and coordination on the battlefield. The invasion by the Great Heathen Army was driven by multiple objectives. Beyond just plunder, the Norse sought new territories for settlement, driven by overpopulation and political strife in their homelands. Their strategy was to exploit the divided nature of Anglo-Saxon England, which was split into several kingdoms such as Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. By attacking monasteries and settlements, they aimed to weaken the political and economic stability of the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, making them more vulnerable to conquest. The exact number of casualties resulting from the Norse invasion is not well documented, but it is believed to have been substantial, particularly among the Anglo-Saxon civilian population. The impact of the Great Heathen Army on Anglo-Saxon England was profound. It led to the destabilization and eventual conquest of several kingdoms, notably Northumbria and East Anglia. The cultural and political landscape of England was irrevocably altered, with Norse settlement and influence becoming entrenched in many regions. This period marked the beginning of a transformative era in English history, where the interaction between the Norse invaders and the Anglo-Saxon inhabitants would shape the future of the British Isles. Section 2. The Ship of the Line. The HMS Victory. The HMS Victory, a quintessential example of a British ship of the line from the 1700s, stood as a marvel of naval engineering and firepower of its time. Launched in 1765, it was among the largest and most heavily armed ships in the world. As a first-rate ship of the line, the HMS Victory was designed not only for naval dominance, but also as a floating symbol of British naval supremacy. Its formidable structure, equipped with multiple decks and a durable oak hull, was built to withstand the rigors of sea warfare and project power across the world's oceans. The crew of the HMS Victory was a microcosm of 18th century naval hierarchy and life. Typically, it housed about 850 men, including seamen, officers, marines, and boys. The crew was divided into several departments, each with specific roles: seamen for sailing and maintenance, marines for boarding actions and defense, and officers for command and navigation. The hierarchy was strict, with the captain at the top, followed by lieutenants, midshipmen, warrant officers, and ordinary sailors. This diverse crew worked in unison, operating the ship and its armaments effectively in battle. The HMS Victory's armament was a testament to the firepower supremacy of 18th century naval warfare. It boasted about 100 guns of various sizes, predominantly comprising 12-pounders, 24-pounders, and 32-pounders. These cannons had ranges of up to about 400 yards, with the heavier guns capable of causing significant damage even at long distances. The accuracy of these cannons, while not precise by modern standards, was formidable for its time, especially when employed in broadside volleys. Apart from its main armament, the ship carried a range of other weapons, including smaller swivel guns, muskets, and pistols for close combat. The ship was also equipped with essential naval equipment like anchors, sails, ropes, and carpentry tools for repairs, as well as navigational instruments like sextants and compasses. When comparing the naval technology and firepower of the HMS Victory with that of the Norse invaders of 865 AD, the disparity is stark, to say the least. The Norse relied on longships powered by oars and sails, equipped for raiding and fast movement, but lacking in heavy armament. Their primary means of warfare were handheld weapons and personal combat skills. In contrast, the HMS Victory represented the pinnacle of naval artillery warfare in the 1700s. Its ability to deliver devastating broadsides from a distance would have been unimaginable in the 9th century. This technological chasm highlights not just advancements in naval warfare, but also the evolution of military tactics and strategy over nearly a millennium. Section 3. The Setup. The HMS Victory in 865 AD. In a remarkable twist of fate, the HMS Victory, under the command of Admiral Edward Hawke, finds itself inexplicably transported from the mid-18th century to the year 865 AD. This time travel event occurs amidst the tumultuous period of the Great Heathen Army's invasion of Anglo-Saxon England. The ship, fully crewed and armed as per its 18th century specifications, suddenly appears off the coast of East Anglia, an area heavily impacted by Norse incursions. The sudden arrival of the HMS Victory is met with awe and confusion by both the Anglo-Saxons and the Norse. For the Anglo-Saxons, initially shock and wary, the advanced technology and firepower of the ship quickly turn bewilderment into an opportunity. Communication and diplomacy play a crucial role as Admiral Hawke and his officers engage with the Anglo-Saxon leaders. Despite the language and cultural barriers, a mutual understanding is formed, driven by the common goal of resisting the Norse invaders. The Anglo-Saxons, recognizing the tactical advantage presented by the ship, agree to an alliance, integrating the HMS Victory into their defense strategy. Strategic planning involves a fusion of 18th century naval tactics and the ground warfare strategies of the Anglo-Saxons. Admiral Hawke, utilizing his experience in naval battles, advises on positioning the HMS Victory for maximum strategic advantage, particularly in controlling the river passages and coastal areas essential to Norse logistics and movement. The Anglo-Saxon forces, under their own leaders, coordinated with the ship's marines for joint land-sea operations. This collaboration leads to the allocation of specific roles. The HMS Victory focusing on disrupting Norse supply lines and launching coastal assaults, while the Anglo-Saxon forces concentrate on land engagements. The time travel premise introduces several logistical challenges. The HMS Victory, designed for 18th century naval warfare, must adapt to the geographical and tactical realities of 9th century England. Resupply and maintenance of the ship pose significant challenges, given the absence of 18th century infrastructure and materials. The crew must rely on local resources and their onboard supplies judiciously. Additionally, the psychological impact on the crew, finding themselves centuries away from their time, adds a human element to the scenario, affecting morale and cohesion. The crew's ability to adapt and work with the Anglo-Saxons becomes crucial in overcoming these logistical hurdles. Section 4. The Battle. As dawn broke over the eastern shores of England, the stage was set for an unprecedented clash. The Norse forces, readying for another campaign of plunder and conquest, found themselves confronted by an alliance of Anglo-Saxon warriors and the enigmatic HMS Victory. The Norse, initially bewildered by the sight of this towering ship, quickly regrouped, determined to overcome this new threat. Admiral Hawke, leveraging the HMS Victory's artillery superiority, positioned the ship strategically at the mouth of a major river, effectively cutting off Norse supply lines and limiting their naval mobility. Concurrently, Anglo-Saxon forces, bolstered by the ship's marines, launched coordinated attacks on Norse encampments along the coast. The use of cannon fire from the ship to support ground operations was a game changer, providing cover and disarraying the Norse formations. The Norse, renowned for their adaptability, quickly realized that direct engagement with the HMS Victory Victory was utterly futile. They attempted to avoid the ship's firing range, focusing instead on smaller scale raids and inland maneuvers. However, the constant threat of the ship's long-range artillery significantly hampered their traditional hit-and-run tactics. A pivotal moment occurred when a large contingent of the Norse army was trapped between the Anglo-Saxon forces and the shoreline. With the range of the HMS Victory's guns, a devastating broadside barrage caused massive casualties, breaking the Norse army's morale and turning the tide in favor of the Anglo-Saxon alliance. This moment underscored the overwhelming impact of the ship's firepower and marked the beginning of the end for the Norse offensive. The dynamics of the battle were defined by the interplay between land and sea combat. On land, the Anglo-Saxons, fighting with renewed vigor alongside the ship's marines employing advanced technology that would be devastating against Norse armor, engaged in close quarters combat, utilizing traditional shield wall tactics. At sea, the HMS Victory dominated, using its cannons by devastating effect, not just in direct combat, but also in controlling key coastal regions and river routes. The Norse, skilled in naval warfare, found themselves outmatched by the sheer firepower and range of the 18th century ship, leading to encounters where any time a Norse ship came within firing range, it was utterly devastated with surprising speed and accuracy by the Victory's guns. The battle, a blend of ancient courage and modern firepower, showcased a remarkable juxtaposition of combat styles and strategies. The Anglo-Saxons, with the support of the HMS Victory, managed to not only repel the Norse invasion, but also to fundamentally alter the course of the conflict. This hypothetical scenario illustrates the transformative impact that a single technological leap could have had on historical events, reshaping not just the outcome of a battle, but the very course of history. Section 5. Outcomes and Consequences. The battle concluded with a decisive victory for the Anglo-Saxon and HMS Victory alliance. The Norse forces, facing unprecedented naval firepower and a rejuvenated Anglo-Saxon army, suffered significant losses. The Norse army's retreat marked a turning point, halting their advance into the heart of England. This victory not only secured key regions, but also sent a powerful message across the Norse territories that England was no longer an easy target. The victory fundamentally altered the political and military landscape of Anglo-Saxon England. With the Norse threat diminished, the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms found a rare opportunity for unity and consolidation. The presence of the HMS Victory, a symbol of formidable military power, deterred further invasions and enabled the Saxons to strengthen their control over their territories. This period saw a resurgence in the construction of fortifications, the establishment of more structured governance, and a focus on fostering a unified English identity. A Saxon-dominated Britain, bolstered by the advanced military knowledge and technology from the HMS Victory, would have likely taken a different trajectory from real history. The accelerated technological and military insights could have propelled England into an era of early nation building, with advancements in naval capabilities and military organization. This could have led to a more centralized and powerful kingdom, potentially influencing the balance of power in Europe and beyond. The strengthened Anglo-Saxon realm might have been less vulnerable to future invasions, including the Norman conquest of 1066. The defeat and the awe-inspiring display of military technology would have had a profound psychological impact on Norse societies. It could have led to a re-evaluation of their raiding strategies, and possibly dampened their ambitions in England. The Norse might have shifted their focus to other regions, such as the unexplored territories to the west, such as Iceland and Greenland, or deepened their engagement in existing settlements in France and the Baltic regions. The long-term implications of this victory are vast and varied. Culturally, the blending of Anglo-Saxon and 18th century British naval culture could have resulted in a unique amalgamation of traditions and knowledge. Politically, a more unified and powerful England in the early medieval period could have altered the European power dynamics, possibly affecting the feudal system and the course of medieval history. Technologically, the introduction of advanced naval technology could have spurred an early industrial and scientific awakening, with implications in various fields such as engineering, navigation, and military tactics. In conclusion, this exploration into a hypothetical scenario where the HMS Victory aids the Anglo-Saxons against the Great Heathen Army in 865 AD serves as a vivid illustration of how technological disparities can potentially reshape historical narratives. The dramatic intervention of an 18th century naval behemoth in the 9th century not only highlights the transformative power of military technology, but also invites us to consider the intricate what-ifs that permeate history. The possibility of a Saxon-dominated England stemming from this anachronistic alliance opens a window into an alternate historical trajectory, where the socio-political landscape of medieval Europe could have been markedly different. In the end, while residing in the realm of speculative history, this narrative narrative underscores the profound impact that singular events and technological advancements can have on the course of history. It challenges us to view history not as a static record of the past, but as a dynamic tapestry woven from a myriad of possibilities, each thread presenting a different choice, chance, or change. This hypothetical journey through time not only enriches our understanding of historical events, but also sparks our imagination about how different our world could have been under altered circumstances.